My name is Samir Mayakar. I'm so proud to serve as Deputy Mayor for Economic and Neighborhood Development, and I am ecstatic about today's announcement and why we're all here. It is a beautiful day on the west side of Chicago, and this announcement has been decades in the making. Decades, as you will hear from some of our speakers. To get to this point, to announce this development, it took the work of a community, it took the visionary work of Mayor Lightfoot, of our Planning Commissioner Maurice Cox, and of this development team who's going to make this all happen. But there's one stakeholder in particular who rolled up his sleeves with us to get us to this point today, and I'd like to bring him up to the podium, and that is our very own 24th Ward Alderman, Michael Scott.
Good afternoon, everybody. As Samir said, it is a great day on the west side of Chicago, specifically here in the 24th Ward. And anytime the mayor comes here to make an announcement like this, it is a great day. So I want to thank everybody for being here. Again, 24th Ward Alderman Michael Scott Jr. And I want to give out some shout outs or some accolades before I give my brief remarks. I want to first thank 548 Related Midwest for thinking about our community and investing in our community. That is we had 6 proposals, and for me, by far, the one that is going to get us in the ground, the one that's going to employ the most people in our community is the one that we chose. And so thank you for being here. I want to thank also Black Men United, who's always here doing great things on the west side of Chicago. They are a stalwart being here. I want to thank NLCCC for all the great work that they do, helping me move the ball forward. Want to thank, most importantly, the community members. This would not be the case if the community did not participate and let us know what they wanted and how they wanted it. So I want to thank them. And then I also want to thank a really good friend of mine, Mayor Lightfoot, whose vision of Invest Southwest is by far the most generous here in the 24th Ward. So if you want to, you can stop calling it Invest Southwest. You can call it Invest 24th Ward. We will take that. We will take that and get some more investments in the ground. But I was thinking this morning, why was I so anxious over the weekend trying to put some notes together? I usually jot some notes down about what I wanted to do, and I couldn't figure out why I was so antsy, and I couldn't find the words for it. And then maybe about 10 or 15 minutes ago, I got a call from my daughter, and she told me that she was going to stay after school this afternoon. She didn't let me know, and I kind of got the same kind of feeling. And so the parallel for me is, this is my baby. From the time that I walked in the office, actually before I was even elected, I was alderman-elect 7 years ago. A company came to me and said, hey, we want to develop on the 21 acres of land. And we went down that road, and it didn't happen. Just like every other wanted investment, they did a pump fake, to use a basketball analogy. They pump faked and they never got it in the ground. And when you have something that you've worked so hard on for so long, you want the best for it. And again, I believe that this is the best for our community. I believe that this program, this Invest Southwest program, who not only is here, but we got something on Ogden with Lawndale Redefined. We got 1,000 homes that we've committed to. We're going to get 24 of them in the ground in the next summer. We got Soleil Restaurant that's going to be built right here on Roosevelt with the Neighborhood Opportunity Fund. We got another couple of Neighborhood Opportunity Funds right down the street. But this right here, this is going to be catalytic. This is going to put 300 people to work. This is going to get the community moving and get this engine moving the way that we want to. And it's going to be a snowball that's going to roll downhill. And this would not be possible without the visionary thoughts of this mayor. Everybody criticizes and everybody says a couple of bad things here and there. But what I would ask you to do is walk in her shoes. I would ask you, would you invest in this community the way that she's invested? I don't think many people can say that. And so without further ado, I want to bring up this visionary person who created Invest Southwest and the reason we're here today, Mayor Lori Lightfoot.
Well, thank you, everyone, for being here. Thank you, Alderman Scott. Thank you, Samir Mayakar, for taking the vision and making it an actual reality. I also want to recognize Commissioner Maurice Cox of the Department of Planning. He and his team were very instrumental in making this day possible. And though she's not here today, I'd also like to acknowledge Chicago Department of Transportation Commissioner Gia Biaggi, who will lead the department's efforts to improve access to this site. Where we are standing and where our latest Invest Southwest project will be built is significant in the history of our city. We are standing on the former notorious illegal dumping ground dubbed by residents as Mount Henry. And for those of you who don't know, let me take you back to a little Chicago political history. It was alleged that former Alderman Bill Henry took kickbacks and allowed construction companies to carelessly and illegally dump tons of hazardous waste on this site, creating a 6-story high, 13 football field size pile of noxious gravel, bricks, and rusted metal. The dust from this pile was enormous and caked surrounding homes. It caused elevated levels of asthma and other respiratory problems in this community. And the pile of rubble created a breeding ground for rats and was a catalyst for crime. Alderman Bill Henry's corruption was brought to light by the federal government as part of the Silver Shovel operation. And I was a young prosecutor and handled one of the Silver Shovel prosecutions of now former Alderman Virgil Dones from the South Side, a different but equally corrupt elected official. For me, this site is symbolic for 2 reasons. One, it's symbolic of my personal values to fight corruption and other forces that wish to cause harm to our community and hold people back from realizing their God-given potential. It's a value that I try to live every single day as mayor. And 2, the redevelopment of this site that we're announcing today is symbolic of Invest Southwest values to transform vacant land and underdeveloped areas of our city so that we can breathe new life of opportunity and possibility as directed by the community. It's hard to believe that the site of Mount Henry, that once hurt North Lawndale so greatly and profoundly, will now be revolutionize this corner of our west side and positively change the lives of residents here for the better. I'm thrilled to announce that the city has selected, as you heard, 548 Development and Related Midwest proposal to build an industrial complex and innovation center. And indulge me while I tell you a few of the details, which I'm very proud of. This is going to be a $38.4 million project that will create 4 new buildings on 21 acres of city-owned land, representing the largest of our vacant land on the west side. The site will be transformed into a pair of industrial structures that will bring lucrative freight and logistics jobs to this community, as well as an accompanying pair of innovation centers for workforce training and uses for the community, such as meetings and events. And as if that weren't enough, an adjoining community park will offer outdoor gathering space that can be used for anything that the community can envision. Farmers markets, food trucks, and pop-up stands, just to name a few ideas. Also, Chicago muralist Max Sensing will design and create exterior mural art along Roosevelt Road to bring color and beauty to this area, and you see a couple of his pieces here on the billboards. Importantly, 548 and Related Midwest were thoughtful in their design to ensure that these buildings are sustainable. The project will combine rooftop solar panels and a green roof to enhance the productivity of electric generation for the property. The landscaping design by Site Design Group, a minority business enterprise, will reintroduce native biodiversity through the replanting of historic ground species. Additionally, this site is bisected by the Altenheim rail line, a portion of which is being studied by the Department of Planning for adaptation as a recreational trail through the Rails to Trails project. 548 development related have incorporated space planning and green space to accommodate the future implementation of this project. In order to improve access to the site from the Eisenhower and the I-90, for semi-trucks, CDOT will be carrying out a project to raise the elevation of the rail viaduct on Kostner Avenue. This is an $8.4 million project partially funded through $4.8 million of CARES Act recovery assistance grants from the federal government. You know that I've been going back and forth to Washington, D.C. to make sure that Chicago gets its fair share of resources on any government programming, and this is another example of how that communication and collaboration, particularly with our great federal delegation, is yielding dividends for this neighborhood. So when all is said and done, the Industrial Complex and Innovation Center will create 700 permanent and temporary jobs for North Lawndale community. And folks, you gotta clap for that. And we estimate that 40% of the construction participation will be minority and women-owned businesses. This project checks all of the boxes of our values about how we go into community, work with community, and making sure that we're making investments that benefit community. This development will create jobs and opportunity for local residents and businesses. Yes, it will. Will this development also serve the community by maximizing their opportunities for connecting with one another? Yes, it will. Is this development sustainable while enhancing green spaces and community culture? Yes. And the city's investment into this development, therefore, was a no-brainer. It's ironic that what used to be Mount Henry will now serve and uplift our North Lawndale residents and neighborhood, and that is really what our goal is with Invest Southwest. Through Invest Southwest, the city is investing with private sector partners to date $1.4 billion. These are developments that are going to uplift the lives of Black and brown residents, areas of the city that have been historically underinvested in. We are doing this, and we're making tangible, concrete progress on making lives for tens of thousands of our residents in these 10 communities the better, and they can see it, not just hear it. It's not just words, it is actions that we are taking to make the lives of our residents that much better. As sprawling commercial spaces, community gathering areas connect to and engage with residents, and beautiful parks and artwork that foster community pride, that's what we are about. More than anything, our goal is to ensure that these communities are safe, secure, where our residents can confidently raise their families, start businesses, and reach their God-given potential. And like every Invest Southwest winning RFP, this project was selected with the community in mind and heavily involved. Invest Southwest, folks, it has careful community review processes in place, and it has been from the very beginning, from ideation to completion, to ensure that these developments actually meet the needs of the residents of these unique communities. Finally, another great thing about this project is this site will build upon our city's strengths as a prime location for industrial operations. Chicago is the nation's freight hub. Transportation, distribution, and logistics industry in Chicago is the nation's second largest by number employed right here in our hometown. And we lead the nation in truck transport employment as well. This industrial complex should and will catalyze and inspire more freight and logistics companies to realize the incredible potential that exists on the south and the west sides and the residents who call them home. So simply put, Invest Southwest is good for Chicago, it's good for our residents, and it's good for business. And I look forward to seeing this project rise from this location and bring jobs and hope and, importantly, possibility to the residents of North Lawndale. And let me end by saying this. Earlier today, I was down at Olive Harvey, and I was talking to an inaugural class of people of various ages and generations that are going to be learning down at Olive Harvey to participate in the growing cannabis business. And these were many people who themselves had gone to jail and prison as a result of cannabis and other drug-related arrests. And we had the opportunity to talk to the students. And I asked them, what would you tell your 20-something-year-old self if you had the opportunity to go back in time? And one of the things that one of the students said was, I would say, never give up. Always have hope and always have faith. And as a person of faith myself, I know that things can be made out of no way. And that's exactly the testament for this project. For too long, people in North Lawndale were led to believe that no one cared about their community, that there would be no hope on the horizon. But through diligence and patience and hard work and fearless advocacy by Alderman Scott and others, and people here in this room that I know and who love this community, we're seeing a change coming to the West Side. And I am grateful to be a part of this change. This is so important, such a beautiful, magnificent day, and I'm just grateful for all the hard work that has gone into making this possible. We've got to demonstrate to our young people that no matter their current circumstances, hope is on the horizon. Jobs and opportunity will be here. So I see many people in this room that have made this moment possible. I want to say to all of you, the electeds who are here, the other community stakeholders, thank you. And development team, we have big expectations, and we know you won't let us down. So with that, I'd like to bring Pastor John Harrell to the podium to say a few words. I said John, I meant Glenn.
No, he was right.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Today is a very exciting day. It's exciting because, as the mayor said, there's hope. I listen to people say that our youth are lost, but I disagree with them. Our youth are not lost, they're just a left generation. We've left them to raise themselves with Instagram and social media and TikTok and everything else. They're babysitting our children and they're imparting in them things that are hopeless. And so I'm excited because I am a community resident. I built my first house right there on 18th and Ridgeway. I was a youth pastor under the leadership of Charles Edward Robinson at Holy Starlight. My great aunt Nancy B. Jefferson started the first daycare center right around the corner. But then fast forward, through my relationships, I got with another trailblazer in our community by the name of Michael Scott Sr. And he got with the alderman in 2007, and we did something right here on this lot called the Convoy of Hope. That's where we brought resources and relationships to the community, and we blessed some 9,800 people. And I say all that to say that long time ago in the late 90s, that mountainous of debris and garbage that was there, another mentor of mine by the name of Larry Huggins was in charge of the cleanup. And so I'm excited to be a part of this development. I want to thank A.J. Patton from 548. I want to thank Don Bernanke from Related for believing in us as black men. Black Men United is real simple. All we're trying to do is tell a different story, share and paint a different picture about black men in America that's positive, productive, and progressive. Even though we might be black, we're not anti-anybody because we're building bridges and not walls. And so to our aldermen, I want to thank you so much, Mayor, to your staff, to your team that helped make this day possible. I want to say thank you all, and to God be the glory. And so, without further ado, we have another champion in our community, another giant in his own right, amen, and we're grateful to be partners with him from Rodney Brown. I'm sorry, Rodney, I'm excited, man, amen. And you know I'm a preacher, so I get three close, so that I'm closing. Give him a hand, y'all.
I don't know how I got to follow a preacher. I want to start off by saying thank you to Mayor Lightfoot, but not just for today, but for your investment in the west side of North Lawndale in particular. As the corridor manager for Invest Southwest here in North Lawndale, I want to thank you. You are the first mayor that has had a focused effort on rebuilding the south and west sides of Chicago. And then Michael Scott Jr., also known as the best alderman this ward's ever seen. I want to thank you for your partnership, for your leadership, for your guidance, for your kick in the pants when we've needed it, but you've been there every step of the way with us. I want to thank you for shepherding this process with us. And then there's A.J. Patton. No words, brother. Thank you for the team that you've assembled. Thank you for your vision of inclusivity to help rebuild this community and communities throughout the city of Chicago. Now, Mary Ellen Pleasant, Robert Reed, Hannah Elias, Annie Tombo Malone, O.W. Gildry, Madam C.J. Walker. These were the first 6 black millionaires in this country. And they did it through entrepreneurship. That's the only way they could do it. That's what they did. This building, this development is going to serve as inspiration for the millionaires we're hoping to birth out of this location as well. Yeah. Their stories will be told. This is going to be a research center for the community and small businesses in North Lawndale and the surrounding communities. We're going to work, this is going to be a home for NOCCC, our chamber, and New Covenant. We're going to continue to work with our partners in North Lawndale and the surrounding communities to make sure we put together exactly what the community needs. We're looking at making sure that they get the support. So we're going to have a small business development center. We're going to have a pop-up center for people to come in and do pop-ups. We're going to have a social enterprise. So anybody that's looking to learn how to run a business, we'll show them how to do that here. We're looking to make sure that as we operate, we're focusing on what's important for the community. When we talk about what we're looking for, in my opinion, as the economic vitality goes, so goes the community. So what we're talking about doing here is making sure that NOCCC will continue to focus on the values and the vision of the community. We're looking to make sure that as we move forward, we keep listening for the community. The mayor talked about how this was done with the community. Same deal here. As we continue to grow, that's going to be our focus going forward. We will work with the community to manifest the vision and values for the community. You know, we've talked about this before, but in my opinion, the only real reason why we're here today is because we want to execute the vision and the values for this community. This has been a community that has not had a comprehensive plan, that has been disinvested in for at least 50 years. So again, for the mayor to come along and say, we're going to invest in the south and west side of Chicago, and as Alderman said, if you want to call this Invest 24, we're cool with that. There's a lot more work we have to be done here. But again, it's because of that kind of vision, it's because of the community support, and it's because of the team that's been put together to pull this together that we see this manifestation coming to bear. We've talked about this before, but I want to make sure it's clear. Now is the time. Now is the time for North Lawndale. There's been a lot of talk, a lot of boo-ha-ha about it, but we are looking at where we are right now, and we shall not stop. Thank you. I'd like to bring forward now Commissioner Cox.
All right. Good afternoon. So it's days like this that they give me an enormous amount of hope that we're on the right track. And it's also because of so many folks here who have stood alongside us and made this work possible. Rodney Brown, just thank you. Pastor Harrell, of course, Deputy Mayor Samir Mayakar, and Alderman Scott, who I think is one of the fiercest partners and advocates for any ward in the city. This could not happen without you. My own staff who has been diligent in working on this. Gerardo Garcia is here. And of course, Mayor Lightfoot, who has really shown what commitment looks like, that we are in this for the long haul, and that we have a day here to celebrate because she has hope in communities like North Lawndale. So this is a reckoning of sorts, as you've seen, for the west side of Chicago. And it represents the collective effort of all of us to give this site an entirely new meaning in Chicago. It's one of the largest sites of its type on the west side, 21 acres. It's in an incredibly strategic location with the Roosevelt Cicero Industrial Corridor. And it has enormous potential, economic potential, as a job center. So rather than acres and acres of unimproved land, rather than mountains of debris, we are going to see this site return to its original purpose, and that is to be a job-producing center for North Lawndale and beyond. It's also as a result of the partnership that's been forged here between 548 and Related Midwest. This is going to be a center of innovation, and I'll explain more. It's going to be the focus of an amazing new series of public spaces, and it's going to show how industrial buildings can be sensitively woven into the community that they are surrounded in. So this is what we're in store for. And of course, it brings to close one of the most nefarious chapters in community disinvestment that Chicago has ever seen. So the plan, as was described, has been in the making for decades. But it started for me about 2 years ago when the mayor announced Invest Southwest, and that it would be laser focused on sites that were neglected, overlooked, and abandoned places that she saw value in that others did not. So we issued the community-driven RFP for the redevelopment, and we intended to raise the bar across the board and prove several things. One, could we create a next generation TDL light manufacturing facility that serves as an industry model for what green and clean energy practices look like? We set out to do that. Could it be designed in a way that actually gives something back to the community, especially through some of the outward-facing amenities that we'll see along Roosevelt Avenue, inviting residents, tenants, and other potential users to share the site? Could we lay the foundation for internal and a linear park along the Altenheim rail line and provide connections beyond the site to the rest of the neighborhood? Could we utilize the exterior building walls as a canvas for artistic expression? And could we create, very importantly, hundreds of jobs? And these type of jobs are the jobs that are walkable from your home here in North Lawndale, and that we could incubate those businesses, incubate new businesses, and build a community wealth in the long term. And then something that was very important to me is, could we extend the dignity of design excellence to industrial sites? The same things that we've achieved in Invest Southwest, could we do that for the manufacturing and industrial sector? And what you are seeing today is the manifestation of all of those goals that we set and the project that brought it home. So, we had some choices. We had 6 different proposals, and a lot of them had extremely lofty expectations. Now, it took us a very long time. Some folks were like, can we get to the decision here? But we knew we had to get it right. And what it turned out, that the community was just as attentive to the work that needed to be done. We held virtual meetings. We had a Meet the Developer night where a couple of hundred people looked at all 6 proposals. We circulated community surveys. So we collected hundreds of opinions about what should be on this site. And then, of course, we worked with the teams individually to refine their visions for the site. And finally, one emerged as the best of the best, and that was the 548 Development and Related Midwest proposal, who are the winners of the Roosevelt Kostner RFP. So congratulations to you all. So I think Alderman Scott spoke to this a little bit when he renamed Invest Southwest Invest 24, that projects like this give enormous confidence to all those who are looking to invest in Chicago about the potential in this neighborhood. And we are starting to track the pipeline of investment that's happening just in North Lawndale. And I can tell you that it is nearing $400 million of investment. This is public-private. It involves so many of our sister agencies and departments. CHA's Ogden Common and Albany Terrace is on that list. DOH's Reclaiming Chicago Home Ownership Initiative is on that list. CDOT's Ogden Avenue Streetscape, the Lawndale Redefined Mixed-Use Development on Ogden, Grace Manor, the affordable housing development that is going to break ground. Douglas Park Cultural Center is being rehabbed. The Douglas Park Library is reopening. I could go on and on and on. One successful investment begets another, begets another, and begets another. So yes, we may have to rename Invest Southwest Invest 24. I'll give you credit. So I really want to give a shout out to, I think, the young man who I have been noticing is setting the pace for what Invest Southwest can be. About 2 years ago, A.J. Patton responded to the first RFP on Chicago Avenue. He didn't win it, but he was not deterred. He showed up again for the next round of RFPs and was awarded the contract for South Chicago. And then, he found a partnership which I think has brought an enormous value. This young man knows how to build partnerships. And as a result of it, and his extraordinary commitment to sustainability, he's also going to show us how you can be green and clean in this industry. So to A.J. Patton, to Related Midwest, we thank you, and we look forward to the project that you build on this site. Mr. Patton.
Thank you. Good afternoon. My name is A.J. Patton, founder of 548 Development. Putting my notes together, I realized that this is only my second public comments where I get to say that I'm actually A.J. Patton Sr. So thank you for them. So you guys heard a lot about the project. We could not be more proud and excited about this opportunity and what we have in front of us. $38 million investment, you heard about it, 700 new jobs, over 300 potential permanent jobs. We are excited about this anchoring investment into this important community. I'm elated, as you can tell, with a host of things. We've got tons of people to thank. We've got great partners, great local leaders. We're excited. This is a great moment for all of us, for all the businesses and community leaders involved. As you know about our firm, we're small but mighty. We care a lot about the community. We care a lot about sustainability. And we care a lot about that the coalition that participates in these deals looks like the community that we're investing in. And so this is a really, really, really proud moment for us. We could not be more excited. I want to thank a handful of people, but before I thank any individuals, I want to start with one person, and she is a reflection. There are a couple of really important people here, but there's an important person that's a reflection of how this city moves, and that is Carla Coupe, who's in the back, and she's got a yellow vest, a yellow dress, lawyer vest on. She's an important lawyer. I want to give her flowers, and you may say, look, Carla Coupe, all these important people. You shout out Carla Coupe. Related was looking for a partner. They have Kiera Ellis is their executive who's responsible for that. Sharia Singh, who's also their community relations person. And they go to find who's the right partner. They call Carla, and Carla says, it's got to be inclusive. It's got to be sustainable considering the history of that site. You call 548 Development. And so Carla and Kiera and Sharia in a back room put together this deal, essentially, of the partnership. And I say that to say our city's better when women have influenced our outcomes. And when we allow more women to lead these businesses and these opportunities, these are the positive outcomes, and this is the fruit of that. So I just want to acknowledge Carla. Thank you. So I think the 548 team, Steve, Benz, Anna Barsky, who's important to us, site design, Ware Malcolm, we're in the deep end of the pool, and we were all nervous about Commissioner Cox in design excellence. So at the 25th hour, I called Leslie Roth, who is a principal at Lamar Johnson Collaborative. And I said, Leslie, I need you to sprinkle some extra so that Commissioner Cox doesn't kill us here. And so, Leslie, I appreciate you as well. I want to thank the coalition, because one of the things that I go on about all the time is these developments happen and they talk about inclusivity as a percentage, 25 and 5 or 30 and 10, or we've got a prime joint venture. And I always say, who cares about the number? We need to be engaged at every single level of these developments if they're in our community. And so I said, well, who's the lawyer? Who's the consultant? Who's doing the insurance? Who's the engineer? We'll get to construction, but equity is at every line item. We can do more than just construction and swing a hammer. We can do professional services and more. And so our coalition is reflective of that, and I demanded that as a part of our partnership. And so I was grateful that Langdon Neal, legendary attorney, is going to be partnering with Carla Coupe now to be the lead counsel for this site. Charles Smith is going to be doing the insurance for the particular site. And I want to acknowledge Charles Smith and Glenn Charles, who are the co-chairs of the Business Leadership Council. They're this generation's Jim and John, and they're advisors of mine, and I'm grateful for both of you brothers for your leadership in this moment. Thank you. Millhouse Engineering, Melanie Millhouse is one of the leading the future of development for this city. The Millhouse brand is known, and so it's important that Millhouse and Engage Civil and Kelsey Taylor and their team was a part of this coalition to execute. And then Related. I'm landing on Related after the coalition for this fact. After Carla and Kiera got the deal done, Kurt and Ann and Don and I had to huddle and figure out what this partnership was going to look like. And I come in with the firebrand of this is what inclusivity looks like, and we're going to do this, sustainable commitments. And there was no counter. We agreed. We shook hands and moved on. We mission aligned, and that's what matters most. They countered with Don Bernanke. I don't know where Don's at. He's a big smiling face lately. And Don counters with, not only do we commit on the construction side and professional services, what about how do we procure those materials? And he writes an op-ed challenging all of his peers to commit to where those materials are procured. That is a commitment to diversity and inclusion at every level. So cheers to Ann, Don, and Kurt. I appreciate your partnership as we go to execute on this deal. To Rodney Brown and Pastor Earl, Rodney and Pastor Earl and Black Men United, I could not be more grateful. It was important that we had more than one community partner. We wanted to show other communities that all of our partners can work together. And we've seen where that can be a hurdle. And as soon as I said, Rodney, call Pastor Real for me. Let's get this thing done. It took an hour. Pastor Real calls me back. Hey, young fella, I think we got it done. I think we got something here. And him and Terry and the guys who I want to show respect to, they are the leaders of this community. When all of us leave, they're going to be here passing out diapers, passing out food, making sure people have the resources that they're needed. So it was important that they were involved intimately in the decisions of the deal and in real equitable sense. So Alderman Mike Scott, I can't compliment you more at this point. You are as good as it gets. I'm grateful for you. We've got a bright future ahead. I'm at a loss for words because we're a small team. These engagements are personal. I don't have 30 staff to go hand these things out. So if I call Alderman Scott, it's me on the line and it's him and I working together. So I'm very grateful for that. And so thank you, Alderman Scott. Lastly, we talked about the history of this site, the political ridiculousness that is the history. And I want to point something out while I have these cameras here for a second. I put my notes together and I realized something. I don't know the mayor. And hopefully that will sink in of how great this moment is and how it flies in the face of everything that has happened on this site. Everyone else has been so connected and they use that to do wrong. We put this coalition together with merit, and that reached her desk. Not a person, not a campaign donation, nothing else but merit. And if that tells you anything about what this mayor's about, there's your answer. I look forward to knowing you soon. We'll get to know, look forward to knowing you soon. But I think that's important considering the history of this site. And so with that, I want to thank my partners related, the dignitaries in the room, and I'm grateful for this opportunity, looking forward to it. Thank you guys for coming. I believe we're going to take some photos and do the thing. And I think the mayor's going to take some questions.
All right, Mayor, we're going to start the Q&A session with our reporters. I'm going to ask everyone if they can keep their voice down, their conversations. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to kick it off with Pascal from Block Club. 2 questions per reporters, and please keep your mask on. Thank you so much.
Nice to see you, Mayor.
See you.
This is Pascal with Block Club Chicago. So I wanted to ask about the RFP process. So the city framed the RFP as an unprecedented decision-making process that would be led by community input, but the project that the city picked wasn't the one that North Lawndale residents had ranked as their top choice based off of those initial community meetings. It was ranked 3rd out of 6 proposals by residents, and then 4th out of the 6 proposals by planning officials. And so I wanted to ask, why did the city pick this project over the ones that both neighbors and DPD planning officials said that were more ranked higher on those?
Well, I think there's a lot of considerations that go into making the ultimate decisions on how projects are chosen. Obviously, community input is a very valuable part of it, and the community was heavily involved, and I'll invite Commissioner Cox up to go into the details, but there are a number of factors, not the least of which is financial viability, and that weighed very heavily, I know on my mind, the alderman's mind, and that's, I think, really, at the end of the day, taking into consideration the feedback that was given. Could we get this deal done? What was the delta in the financial stack? That obviously having a great vision that can't actually come into fruition because there's no, not the appropriate financing in place, that I think does a disservice to the community. So where there are a number of factors on all of these projects, and financial viability is obviously important.
And just as a follow-up, I know that some of the plans that were initially proposed changed. So for this plan, there was a new architect added. There were changes like adding the park to the plans. Were these changes kind of read back to the community after those initial meetings so that these additions to the proposal would be able to incorporate community feedback?
Yeah, I mean, and what I will say, and I'll bring Commissioner Cox up to kind of fill in the details, we do these community listening sessions, and I think DPD, with respect to Invest Southwest, has done hundreds of listening sections across the various 10 community areas. The community gives us feedback. Then the developers come and they do their presentations, and then it's an iterative process. It's not static. And so, yeah, many times we will come back, meaning the Department of Planning, and push the developers on things that we've heard from the community that may or may not been in their initial proposal. So as I said, it's an iterative process, and the final product, hopefully, is one that incorporates as many aspects of what the community says it wanted as part of that. And Alderman Scott.
So in addition to that, Pascal, we have something called the community roundtables, where we have several members from across the ward that come to a meeting monthly. And as those things kind of change, we kind of read them out to them. And as a matter of fact, most of the changes were made because of the influence of the community roundtable. As a matter of fact, after that happens, I also have a monthly community meeting where I probably have a larger range of folks that come, somewhere between 75 to 100 every month. And each month, DPD has come in the form of Brian, who has done a great job of explaining things to our community. He's the lead planner on the west side. What's Brian's last name? Hacker. Brian Hacker. Don't let me forget. Brian has done a marvelous job of making sure the community has been kept abreast. And so in my community meetings, as well as the community roundtables, every month those things have been addressed.
All right, Craig Wall, ABC 7.
Mayor, off topic, if you don't mind, as we...
Craig, do you ever have an on-topic question? I mean, one time surprise us all and have an on-topic question that you actually care about the event that we're putting on. I'm giving you...
This is a great event,
right.
and I take nothing away from you.
Thank you.
But that being said, my story is not this story, so...
Fair enough. Go ahead.
Jason Van Dyke set to become a free man later this week. First of all, can you give us your thoughts on his pending release 3 years into the sentence, and I'll follow up after.
Well, I think it's important to remember that Jason Van Dyke is still in the custody of the Illinois Department of Corrections, so I would really urge you to talk to them about the time, the place, and the circumstances. But here's what I will say, and I've been thinking a lot about what's happened since I think the world saw the horrific video showing the murder of Laquan McDonald. Which happened at a time that there was a lot of things happening nationally. And frankly, back then, I will say I was very concerned about how our city was going to receive this information. It was horrific. And unfortunately, some news stations decided to play the penultimate moment where he was shot 16 times by Jason Van Dyke on a reel. I remember my wife and I doing everything that we could to make sure that our daughter didn't see this murder taking place before her very eyes on video. That was a very difficult and fraught time in our city, and I think that many people carry the trauma of that moment and others like it with them to this very day. What I will also say is, looking back on that time right before Thanksgiving of 2015 when the video was first released, there were some things that I think helped our city move forward that came out as a result of that. Not the least of which I think is first and foremost the level of activism across our city. Many young people, many people of different generations let their voices be heard and demanded change. And there has been some change, not enough by any stretch of the imagination, but I think some significant things that have happened and continue to happen that we need to take stock of in light of this moment. For example, the Police Accountability Task Force, which I led, the Department of Justice coming in and doing a very deep dive on our police department. The fact that we now are in a consent decree, I think really is a result of that moment and obviously the others, but the amount of progress that's been made on police reform and accountability. I remember sitting at the police academy in January of 2016 and learning that our police officers, after they graduated from the academy, got no other training for the rest of their career other than firearms qualifications. I mean, imagine being in a profession for 30 years or more in some instances and not getting any other investment by your employer. That has changed around dramatically. We now voted, as of July of last year, for a new form of civilian oversight of our police department. We are now investing in our youth, in mental health services, in affordable housing, and a number of other things that really were conversations that had happened over many decades and years, but really kind of crystallized and came together as a result of our, I think, collective outrage about the murder of Laquan McDonald. And let's also not forget that Jason Van Dyke, while many of us were not happy with the length of the sentence that he received, and I think I was vocal about that, as were many other people across the city, but Jason Van Dyke was the first police officer in 50 years who was convicted of committing a crime while on duty. So let's not lose sight of that fact. And I think, frankly, Pastor Marvin Hunter, who's been the spokesperson and really, I think, the conscience for not only the family but for the city on this issue, has, I think, has spoken eloquently about it and talks and continues to talk about healing, about redemption, and about accountability. And I think those are the words that we need to take with us in our heart when we think about this moment that we are in.
Just to follow up, you talked about some of the progress that has been made, but many critics out there, those who are part of drafting the consent decree, say progress is just way too slow. Some even saying it's a failure of leadership.
Well, there's always going to be critics. It goes with the territory. But I'll paraphrase the saying of Teddy Roosevelt. It's not the critics who count. It's the people in the arena getting the work done. And what I would ask you to do is to check your figures. The city of Chicago, we are not where we want to be when it comes to police reform and accountability, but we are further along in 2+ years of doing this work than any other city that has been under a consent decree, any other city. And so, yeah, there is a lot more work that needs to be done. Yes, we need to keep moving forward, but check your facts, my friend, because what you're going to see is that we are making remarkable progress in a difficult time. This is a big department. And it's not just about the department, it's about where we are as a city, about embracing culture and change. Change is hard. We're all experiencing that over these last 2 years of this pandemic, entering into year 3. It's hard for us to give up our old ways, our status quo, even when we know it is failing us. It's still hard for us to pivot and embrace that new mindset. So we are on the right path. We're moving forward in the right way. We've got the right leader in the Chicago Police Department to keep pushing these initiatives forward. But we can't just wallow in the critics and the criticism, because we are doing great things in our city, and today's announcement is a testament to that. 50 years of futility, harm sitting here that harmed generations of people in this community, and yet today marks a new day. Yeah. And we have this happening every single day all over this city.
Thank you, Mayor. NBC, Marianne Ahern.
Thank you, Mayor. Just to give you ahead of time, if I could have 3, because I noticed that you just put out a statement. Could you react to the vandalism at the synagogue on the north side?
Sure. Look, last week we marked Holocaust Remembrance Day, and there were a lot of very poignant statements that were made by members of the City Council and also invited guests. But the unfortunate reality that we know is that hate still lives in the city of Chicago, as it does in the state of Illinois, as it does in the United States, as it does in the world. I think what we need to learn from this experience is We need to stamp out hate wherever it rears its ugly head. And as I said in my remarks at City Council, I'm a black female lesbian. And I know that when they are coming after my brothers and sisters in the Jewish community, they got a list and I'm also on it. And so we have to stand united wherever we see hate, wherever we see anti-Semitism, Islamophobia, racism, sexism, wherever it is, people of goodwill cannot turn a blind eye and just think, well, it's not me. It is you. It is me. It is all of us. When there is hatred manifest in our community. What I will tell you is that the police department has someone in custody. Our detectives and officers are working diligently to put together a case so that we can bring charges against this individual. But even short of that, we have rallied, as we always do, to support our Jewish and Orthodox communities. The alderman has been terrific in advocating and being really the focal point of, that's Alderman Deb Silverstein, being the focal point of making sure that her community gets what they need. She's hosting, and I hope to attend, a community meeting later tonight. But I'm looking out at a mostly black crowd, and I want to say to you, if it's happening on the north side to a Jewish community, it will happen to us as well. And we must stand united and say, not in our city, not in this time, will we tolerate that kind of hatred.
Could I get your reaction, please, to the new ad campaign? Can you give us a little more information? Why now in January are you asking people to come? How expensive was the campaign? Is it meant as a reset?
Can you be specific about?
The new campaign about Chicago that was filmed in New York, and then there's a plan to do one in London. Is this a reset in the midst of the pandemic and other crime challenges?
No, we actually did this, I think, last fall. You may be becoming aware of it now, but look, Chicago is leading on a number of different areas. But the thing that we consistently hear from our business community is we need to reclaim our narrative. We need to make sure that we're telling the Chicago story, not just historically what we've done, and we had a little fun with our friends in New York, but yes, we're gonna take that show on the road to let the nation know that we are leading now. We talked today about our place as the center of TD&L work here. There's a lot of other things that we are leading on. Food and agriculture. We're the #1 community in the country for food and agriculture. We had about 80 businesses 5 years ago. We now have over 400. We have a tier 1 tech community. And as you know, over the course of last year, and I will continue this year, we've been going to San Francisco, to LA, to Boston, to New York, to tell the story about what is happening in the city of Chicago and how our businesses are leading and generating jobs. So yeah, we're going to do it in different ways, in ways that are fun, but fundamentally what we're doing is saying we are here. This is a city that deserves investment, and look at all the resources that we have here, both in terms of businesses, VC investment, as well as a great workforce that is ready, willing, and able to make businesses successful here in the city of Chicago. We are unapologetic about what we're doing here and why our economy is the strongest in the nation, the most diverse, and yes, we have the lowest unemployment rate of all the big cities in the country, and we are damn proud of it.
Finally, where do you stand on the governor's budget plans? Some of them have leaked out. One of them includes doing away with the grocery store sales tax for a year. Won't that impact your take, though, because that money goes to local governments?
Yeah, I haven't had an opportunity to do a deep dive yet in the budget. We'll comment on it yesterday, or tomorrow, I should say, after we do that. Look, I think the governor understands that people are hurting. And we've seen substantial inflation in the amount of money that individual residents have to pay out of their pocket to meet basic necessities. Again, I don't want to go too far because I haven't had the opportunity to look at detail about what the budget's about, but we need to give people relief. We know that. And that's what leadership is all about. And that's what we're trying to do here in the city of Chicago as well.
That's right.
Thank you, everyone.